My colleagues from the Office of the President, the Ministry of Interior and Coordination of National Government, led by, first of all, Mr. Mongo Chimwaga, the Secretary National Administration, who is representing the Principal Secretary, Dr. Karanja Kibicho, my brother and colleague, the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Matiang'I, and the DCI, Mr. Kinoti, our Regional Commissioner for Nairobi, who's in the room, Mr. Njega, the various colleagues from the broad spectrum of responsibilities in the security sector, the chair and members of the board of NACADA, the CEO, colleagues, distinguished participants, stakeholders, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I think it is fair and responsible as a public servant to start by sincerely apologizing for coming to this meeting later than we were expected. The truth of the matter is that we started a security meeting in the morning with my colleagues. We are dealing with one or two challenges elsewhere in the country, and then it spilled over to this time, and that's why my colleagues and I came here straight away from that meeting. And I want to thank them for graciously agreeing to come along with me, because what we are dealing with this morning is something that involves all of us. That said, I'll be brief and straightforward to the point. I received an advance copy of the strategic plan of NACADA, and I had occasion to go through it. And I have had several conversations with the board, with the CEO of NACADA. So one, I am sincerely grateful, because clearly you can see a sense of focus, and we are now becoming more and more focused in what we are doing, and for that I thank the board, the CEO and the staff of NACADA, because we are getting more and more focused in the task that we have ahead of us. Secondly, I'm grateful that you have involved a broad spectrum of stakeholders. I can see the leadership from our colleagues from the correctional services, and various actors from non-state agencies who are part and parcel of our drug fighting community in the country, when we call it broadly that. I'm gratified. I can see my friend Professor Isaac Nyamongo, the Deputy Vice Chancellor at Cooperative University, and a number of academics who I know have been conducting research and are interested in this area, which means that now we are mobilized. We are mobilizing ourselves to face the challenges that we have in the country in relation to the war against drugs generally. I cannot say it better than my two brothers who spoke before me. So I first of all start by declaring this. Right from the strategic plan, you can see that NACADA, even with the challenges we have of resources, because truth be told, even we as a ministry do not think that NACADA is funded well enough. It's just that we have genuine and understandable exchequer challenges. We have demands across the board. We have hospitals to equip, schools to equip, and many things to do. And because of that, our resources are limited. And that's why our collaboration and work with partners is very important, because that's how we can not only build the necessary synergies that we need in educating our people and fighting the use of drugs, but also get the resources we need to do the war and advance as we move forward. We will never get enough resources for anything. Life is such that you have so many demands to deal with from time to time. And I keep telling my brothers and sisters on the board of NACADA that even with the challenges we have, with a small budget, because I would be, honestly, if I had a way, I would double the budget of NACADA, given what they have to do, the expansive nature of our country, and various areas we need to go to, the number of stakeholders we need to bring on board. It would be easy and probably more advisable to see how we could increase the budget and even double it. But resource constraint will remain. That's why your innovation and your campaign to bring everyone on board is necessary, so that we work together. There are colleagues from faith-based organizations and agencies who may have resources that could augment and support the work that we want to do. There are colleagues from research and various other resource sites whose knowledge, expertise, and exposure is critical. I am happy I met the gentleman from the World Health Organization here, which means that we can also benefit, not necessarily from the resources, but we can extend to institutions such as WHO to be able to get the information we need, share information with those that have probably done a better job or succeeded more in the war against drug trafficking, and build a formidable campaign that will help our society as we move forward. Now, thirdly, I want to say this. As a Kenyan, as a citizen of this country, forget about my position as Cabinet Secretary first. As a citizen, as a father, as a member of this society, I'm very concerned about the challenges that we discuss. I've had the privilege of serving before as Cabinet Secretary for Education, and I know what this has done to educational institutions across the country. Now I am dealing with it in the security sector, where both we are looking at the enforcement and now it is even affecting us ourselves. There are parts of this country where, honestly, my friends, I always speak this candidly. There are parts of this country where I am dealing with a chief or two who need to be taken to a rehab, or an assistant chief or two who need to be taken to a rehab. Young police officers committing suicide, because of the challenges related to abuse of drugs. None of us, and I'm saying that to make this point, none of us is immune, none of us is away from this challenge, and we face it every day. In whichever sphere of life you find yourself, we deal with this problem as we go along. Frankly, now is the time, and for us as Kenyans, we have a fantastic example in our president who has demonstrated absolute resolution and commitment to this war against drugs and drug trafficking. We have firm instructions from the president. We are now working very hard with the Ministry of Health to reorganize Miritini and work with the Red Cross and the others to create rehab capabilities in the coastal part of the country. The president is championing this, and he has pushed us so much to work together with our colleagues in the Ministry of Youth and Gender to ensure that we avail capability for rehabilitation, for education, and for awareness creation amongst our young people on the effects of drug trafficking. And I'm happy to note that we're making reasonable advancement in that respect, but we could do more, as it were. So fourthly, my call here today, before we launch the strategic plan, is that in addition to the wonderful plans that we have as NACADA and as the Ministry of Interior, for us in Kenya, we've come to a point where we have to apply an all-of-the-above approach to deal with this problem. All of the above here means every one of us must play a part, whether it is in faith-based organizations, whether it is in our community organizations, whether it's at the family front, at the school within educational institutions, in law enforcement agencies, and within the criminal justice system. Surely everyone has got to play a part. I agree with the Inspector General of Police. We cannot succeed alone. We have to work together. The first assignment we all have is to bring everyone on board so that people understand that we are facing a serious threat. 2 months ago, the IG alluded to it, I took a day off and walked in Kisauni from end to end of the constituency. And then we spent the whole day there with the IG and the regional commissioner and the regional security team in Mombasa. I'm telling you, it will take the heart of stone for you not to be moved and pained by what we saw. 9 out of 10 of the people I would meet at the marketplace on the streets are young people below the age of 30. And out of those, about 5 or 6 of them, you can see the effect of consumption of drugs. They're basically wobbling at 9 a.m. in the morning. They can hardly stand straight. They can hardly sustain a conversation. And let's stop pretending. And on this particular one, I want to say this Let us stop the hypocrisy with which we have lived. Because one thing that is very characteristic of our society is that people like to hear politically correct things, public relations language, and so on, which will not help us. We have to dust ourselves up, face up, and deal with this situation right head on. Or else, we will sink as a society. We will sink. The DCI has said here, the people who are engaged in this business are not ordinary Wananchi. They're not ordinary people who are doing these things. It's indeed shameful, and let me say this even if the international media is here. Isn't it shameful, really, for a country, that until the Akashas went to the US, they probably had no chance of meeting justice in Kenya? I was asking the DCI how many times they were released on bail. The DCI told me they hardly spent one night in police custody. They walked in and walked out. They walked in and walked out. Many of them, these colleagues know, and let me tell you here the risk of revealing some things. We are tracing people in some parts of this country who are engaged in this business who have been released on bond 10 times. The DCI is here, can bear me out. 10 times. They walk into a magistrate's court, they are released on bond. Zakinot gets a hold of them tomorrow, they are released on bond 10 times. Isn't it shameful? I mean, I don't know whether there are parts of this country where people sometimes feel ashamed of some of these things we do. It will take all of us. This is not that business of it will take a village. It will take all of us. We have to employ all of the above to get to solve this problem in our country.